maybe slightly eye-opening conversation on all those choices and decisions that we have to make every day and making them based on wisdom rather than emotion. And, sometimes we think we're being very logical, but emotion definitely plays a role and seeps into everything that we do.
Well, I think the point is, depending on how bad you want something, that's when you have to be the most careful about your emotions. Because if you want something so bad that your emotions are involved in it, it's very easy to talk yourself into it, especially if it's something that, say, is not, it's not sinful. It's not a matter of, would this be wrong in God's eyes if I did this?
Right.
And so I think the best way for me to get my point across is to tell a story that is a little bit embarrassing, but I think it'll make the point. Now, all dog lovers will understand this. If you're not a dog lover, they'll still get the message. But I had a dog growing up, and then when my kids were little, we had a couple different dogs. And then I had a dog, she lived like 12 years. Her name was Duchess, and she was just wonderful. And then when Duchess died, I got another dog, and the trainer said he specifically picked this dog because he thought it matched my personality. Well, the problem was she was a nightmare. I mean, I hope I'm not as stubborn as that dog was.
Exactly.
Finally, a professional trainer said this dog cannot be trained.
Wow.
So I had to give her away. Well,
I don't want a dog that matches my personality.
Yeah,
I want a laid-back, quiet
I want
dog.
one that's going to lay on my lap and not require too much, just love me and lay on my lap. And so I waited a while, and then I got another dog, and it was just turned out to be too much for me. And I had that one, I think, close to a year, and then I ended up giving her to somebody here at the office that was a real blessing, too. And so then I wait another bunch of months, maybe even a year or two, and I still want a dog, so I get another dog. And after a while, it was like there was too much for me. It was just putting pressure on me. And so I said, I will never do this again. But 2-3 years go by, and then I start in again. I want a dog. So I had the idea that if I could get a trainer to keep this dog for several months and potty train it and train it, to be obedient,
right,
then I could handle it. So I found somebody that said they would do it, and she kept the dog for 4 months, and not too long ago, we had a picture of her on social media.
Yeah.
And him, he was a boy. I kept calling her because I've had girl dogs a lot. And it just started putting pressure on me. And this was, you couldn't have asked for a better dog. I mean, this dog was so good. Just only had one accident in the house the whole time we had him. He played by himself good. He was just good. But it started pressuring me because when I would get ready to come to the office to do TV or something, I'm thinking about what I'm going to teach, and in the meantime, I'm trying to gather up all the stuff I need to take the dog to the dog sitter, and you got to get the food and this and that and something else. And you got to, I was getting up real early in the morning to let him go to the bathroom, and then taking him out several times a day. And then, I go to bed pretty early. I like my quiet time in the evenings, and he wasn't necessarily wanting to go to bed that early. So that became an issue. And long story short, I ended up making the decision that it was just too much for me to have a dog, just simply because of my lifestyle. Because I travel a lot. I'm here, I'm there, I come, I go, I come up here, I go somewhere else. And so when it was all over and I'm, praying about it, I got a really good lesson about how emotions can really make you override wisdom. Because I actually found in my journal from earlier this year, I had written, what are the pros and cons of me having a dog? And I had a list of like 14 reasons why I should not have a dog. And only maybe one or two things that would have been for it. And mostly it was just like, I wanted it. That was it. I just wanted it. And I wrote everything that I was having a problem with, I wrote it down, but I forgot all about that because I wanted it. And I hope somebody's listening to me today, because just because you want it. See, it's not a sin to have a dog. God, he don't care if I have a dog or if I don't have a dog. But it just wasn't wisdom for me to do it. So I think the lesson that I wanted to bring across today is that you have to really be careful when you want something in a really strong way. And I had a little check in my heart the whole time, and I know better. I mean, I know better than to do that. And I'm not a real emotional person, as you know. I don't fly off the handle and do stuff just out of emotion very often. But because I had enjoyed that dog that I had for so long, so much, my daughter told me, she said, you don't want a dog, you want Duchess back. You're not going to get him. Anyway, you can apply this to any situation in your life. But the point is our emotions can really get us in trouble. It gets people in trouble financially. Sometimes.
Yeah, that's a great point. I want to spend this money because I want this, even though I don't have it.
Yeah, and even when you go out shopping, I mean, the salespeople, and bless their hearts, we need salespeople. They're wonderful, but they're trying to make a living, and so they're. You
look great in that.
Oh,
you need
that looks so good on you, and it's on sale, and this is the last day it's going to be on sale, so you need to get it now, and that's when you especially need to be careful, when you got to do it right now.
Yeah.
If you got to do it right now.
That's true.
I remember a situation where I was wanting to watch, and I saw a watch. I love the watch. Anything under a glass case with lights on it.
It's just perfectly laid out.
It does not look that way when you get it home. I mean, it was still pretty, but the way they look under the glass case is so much different. Well, this salesperson is pressuring me, if you 20% off, but you got to get it now. The store's going to close and blah, 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 blah. But that time I did use wisdom, and I said, well, if I want it, I'll come back, but I'm going to take a little walk here and think about it. And while I was walking, I saw a suit in the window that I liked. And I went in and I tried that on, and Dave said, oh, man, that looks good. And it did really look good on me. And so then I was going to buy that, and then I thought, nope, I'm going to think about it for a minute. And so I took another little walk. And the interesting thing was I decided I wanted the watch, I wanted the suit, but I only had money for one or the other. And I ended up deciding not to get either one because I wanted to keep my money more than I wanted either one, because I didn't want to be broke.
Right.
And that would, if I would bought either one, it would have put me in a place where I wouldn't have had any, it's just like spending money, like if I want to buy a little of this or a little of that or a little something else. And so I did the right thing then, but this time I did the wrong thing. And I know, like, you have a dog, it doesn't seem to be any problem, but is it a challenge ever?
Oh, anyone with a dog can say there are benefits, but it's a lot of work. I mean, I love having our dog, but I'm not in the situation that's exactly the same that you are.
Right.
And it really does have so much to do with how much you travel and how much you have to concentrate when you're writing and preparing for teaching. So we're all so different.
It also has to do with your age.
Oh, I'm sure that's true,
and I've gotten
too.
just a little bit older. Just a smidge, just a little bit older. And I mean, just to be honest, I can't take the same amount of pressure that I could at one time. I mean, when I was your age, I could do 6 different things at one time, and I thought it was fun. But now I don't multitask as well. I need to be able to keep my mind on what I'm doing. And so it was just hard for me when I was trying to remember everything I needed to bring up to the studio to do TV, and thinking about what I was going to be teaching on that day, and then trying to think about what all I needed to take, for the dog and blah, blah, blah.
So let me ask you, what Because I know how much you love dogs.
I love dogs. I love animals of any kind.
Yeah.
I'd probably be happy to have a cow.
That would be some work too.
I love to pet fur.
I'll get you a nice pillow or
Yeah.
something. But what will you do differently when this urge comes back?
Well, I cannot. I can't. And I've told my husband, if I ever do this again, tell me no. I've told my daughter, who helps me a lot,
Yeah.
if I ever do this again, tell me no. Now, the only way that I would ever do it again would be if I was home all the time.
Sure.
I
Yeah.
wasn't
If
traveling.
your situation changed.
If my situation changed. But, I'll be teaching and
Yeah.
preaching as long as I've got breath.
Right.
And so I'm always going to be going places and doing things. And I just think that, sometimes I think the bottom line is, and then, the only reason why I'm sharing this is because I really want people that maybe are about to do what I did. It's not about a dog.
Yeah, whatever it
know.
is.
Some of you can get a dog and it's going to be great and it's worth you to do that. But some women marry somebody because they're afraid they're never going to have anybody.
They want to be
and
married.
They want to be married and they feel emotional about it, but they have a check and they're not using wisdom.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing with finances. People buy things that they really should wait on. They should wait and save the money. It's not
Yeah.
something that they need to buy right then. Or things we say.
Yeah.
How often have I thought, boy, when Dave comes home, I'm going to tell him this and this and this and that and that and that and something else. And God has taught me over the years that when you need to talk to somebody about a problem, there's a timing. You need to pray first, and there's a time to talk to somebody and a time not to. You don't talk to them about a problem when they're tired. You don't talk to them about a problem the minute they come in the door from work.
Yeah.
You pray and you pick the right time. And so wisdom is doing now what you're going to be happy with later on. And so we have to think about everything that something is going to entail and not just do it because it's something that we want.
Yeah. I think you said some really key things in there. Wait.
Yeah.
Don't be stirred by urgency of emotion.
Right.
And pray and ask God for wisdom to help when
Right.
we really need it, when we're feeling weak, especially.
Well, and I think this lesson will help me in the future, and I think that it will help a lot of people listening. And like I said to some people, they may have, I know people who've got 3 dogs and 4 cats, and, they're...
Yeah, it's not that.
They're just fine with it. It's not about, you can have... all the animals you want, But somebody suggested I get a gerbil. I didn't want to do that. But I think the point is just because I wanted it, I think God had to give it to me because everything was perfect. I prayed for God to give me the perfect dog. And how many trainers are going to take a dog and keep it in their home? And this woman, she said, I would have never done this for anybody, but I just felt like I should do it. And she didn't do it because she was a Christian and loved me and loved my teaching. God put it on her heart to do it, and she did it. She didn't know it was God, but she had a desire to do it, and she did it. And so I felt like everything was just falling into place. But still, even right down to when I took the dog, I'd have these little and I wonder if I'm doing the right thing.
Yeah.
I wonder if I'm doing the right thing. And so I just, I've just really learned that you cannot go on emotion. You have to really make sure something's wise
Yeah.
before you do it.
That's really helpful. It's a great conversation because you're right. Whether, some people are more emotional than others, but it doesn't matter when you really. Have a desire for something, some of that wisdom can fly out the window if we're not really
Well, the
really
thing that's
careful.
interesting, like you said something important, like some people are more driven by emotions. Certain personality types, like the sanguine personality, they are much more inclined toward emotion and emotional decisions. I'm a choleric type A, and I'm not. And I've made the same mistake
Sure.
3 times now. You'd think that I would have learned a little bit quicker, but see, I would let enough time go by in between that I would
Yeah.
forget the last,
Right.
crazy thing. That's why I've told other people to hold me accountable, so you can
Yeah.
help too. If I want a dog, say, no, Joyce, remember when.
Here's what we'll do. My Sir Winston is always ready to come over
Yes,
and give you
yes.
some snuggles and pets. And we will keep the recording of this conversation handy, and we'll just put it on your phone. And then
Yeah.
anytime you need to look at it.
Thank you. I said the other day, I'm going to have a party and have all the dogs over I've given away. I think that I have a second job, and it's buying dogs and giving them to other people. And so.
Well, that's a blessing,
But
too.
he's got a great home now. He's with 2 more dogs and a young girl that's like 17 that just absolutely adores him. And
Yeah.
so he's really, to be honest, he's better off where he's at than he would have been with boring old me.
And this is a great lesson for all of us.
Yeah.
So a good